Ditcher Quick and Hide, divorce lawyers. 1 in a million. Taking Spanglish a little too far. Fish and chips fried chicken, the cod fodder. A business that gives saying swimming with the fishes a whole new meaning. So what? Gifts and stitches. Come here next time you forget your anniversary. Walk and roll. Authentic, accent included. Old girl. Who did your hair salon? One of the longest business names that's totally worth every word. So we're looking at biznamewiz.com. Very interesting brands names. What's in a brand and what's in a name. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a great day as we go into the weekend. And I think that's going to be the topic of today's video. We're talking about Bitcoin NYK. How do we come up with Bitcoin NYK? Why did we choose this name? And we're going to also talk a bit about Bitcoin NYK backed dollars, a new product that we have. Obviously, if our goal is to be a global cryptocurrency, remittance system, we're going to need the value to be as stable as possible when it arrives at its destination. So it's going to be some interesting information. So Bitcoin MYK, I think it's important to understand that Bitcoin MYK may not mean to many people who hear the name what they think. And the reason being is when we first came up with the idea of Bitcoin MYK, a lot of people were against it. They were like, please do not use the term Bitcoin in your cryptocurrency because people are going to think it's a scam. People are going to think, that was trying to confuse people into thinking it's Bitcoin or something like that. And it'd just be better to just start with an entire different branding and name. And so, whereas we completely understand many of those concerns, I think the first misunderstanding with why we chose Bitcoin MYK was, I think, just proper designation. So if we look at something like the Lightning Network, the Lightning Network can be used with any cryptocurrency, right? It is not, we generally refer to it as Bitcoin Lightning. But the reality of the situation is it could be used with Ethereum, it could be used with Litecoin, it could be used with whatever, right? So, but you would have to designate what you're going to be using it for. And so we say ideas like Bitcoin Lightning, so on and so forth. Bitcoin MYK does a similar thing where it doesn't move any Bitcoin out of your wallet. It's not an atomic swap. It's none of those things. Once the Bitcoin are verified to belong to you, you can then use what we term a side chain in order to move that represented value of your Bitcoin, to do micro payments, to move it faster, to do it without headache while the actual Bitcoin is safe in your wallet, right? We have means to stop double spends and so on and so forth. So I think that's the first idea, that we would just have to designate this as in a way that's going to be recognizable to people, similar to Bitcoin Lightning, as to say, well, Bitcoin MYK is doing those things, and you might want to use that as doing it without some of the drawbacks, other people trying to facilitate the movement of a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, that has worked well as a store of value, but doesn't work well as a currency, and doesn't really move at speeds and at costs that many people find appealing. The other thing we would say is the Bitcoin MYK designation is necessary and very reminiscent to the idea of Bitcoin MYK inheriting the Bitcoin ledger. And what does that mean? Well, that pretty much means that how the Bitcoin ledger appears is pretty much how Bitcoin MYK ledger will appear, right? And that is because we inherit the Bitcoin ledger. Now, in some circles, some definitions, it's debatable A fork of Bitcoin is anything that inherits the Bitcoin ledger. But that is a very relaxed definition, is a very simplified, lowest version of a fork definition. And it's one we use loosely. So we don't really get really concerned about if we're a fork or not. We're here to help be an arm for Bitcoin to facilitate the value of Bitcoin. We believe that the cryptocurrency space should work as a whole, and it works better that way, uh, different from what we believe could occur in like an idea of the dilution of a small market right now. The other thing I would say Bitcoin MYK is quite reminiscent of is what happens to the Bitcoin halving. That is a feature it has, right? The supply reduces greatly. In fact, it reduces more than Bitcoin over time. And so we know all the economic principles, um, what we get with something like the halving, the deflation, deflationary quality, where it becomes as mass comes in and value comes in, it can in some cases force the value to go up, right? So it's a kind of tokenomics at play there. And I think we just have that there more so to be reminiscent, relatable to Bitcoin, and trying to facilitate a micro payment solution for Bitcoin in a way you don't have to trade off your Bitcoin for an altcoin or something like that, right? So very interesting stuff. Um, Also, I guess last but not least, um, a fork could also, or some type of version of Bitcoin, if you want to call it that, or something that uses Bitcoin title. Maybe they're saying they're related to Bitcoin in some way. Maybe they think they're better, or maybe they think they do something Bitcoin doesn't do, or something along those lines. If someone would want to raise that argument about Bitcoin MYK using the Bitcoin name, I could only suggest or say something along the lines of that the Bitcoin MYK transactional system, right? Because it's using basically the Hive. It's functioning on the Hive and Steam blockchain. It's also functioning on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. We know these to be faster than Bitcoin. And the reason it's doing that too is because it's a currency, because unlike Bitcoin that is more in the realm of store value now, Bitcoin MYK feels more like a currency, right? It's still kind of keeping with Satoshi's original idea of a digital currency, we believe, right? In that sense, right? And so because of that, the way we're moving Bitcoin MYK is probably going to work better as a micro payment solution than Bitcoin. It's going to work better in a user interface. It's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot faster, and the value of it is very low. So it's going to produce a possible good situation for the price. Although price is not our focus, utility is our focus. We focus more on would this be usable and valuable to people and would people like it. Um, I guess the last part is we believe universal basic income is a mass adoption vehicle. And if you want to mass adopt something like Bitcoin, one of the best ways to do it would be to just give the cryptocurrency away or a good portion of it. And so we do that through universal basic income. So you can kind of think of it as well as the Bitcoin that has universal basic income, right? So however you want to turn that or look at that, that's pretty much where we're at with how we got the name of Bitcoin MYK. Now let's talk about our latest release that's going to be very important to a digital currency system, especially if you're going to deal with the remittance system or problems of when I transfer value across borders. Does the value of my token arrive there in relational value to how it left? Because if it doesn't, then that wouldn't want to be a payment system most people would want to use. All right, so very soon, as we're here on the Hive Engine Exchange, we're going to be releasing right here next to Bitcoin MYK the Bitcoin MYK backed dollar, right? It's going to trade on this exchange, and that should be happening. I know it'll be happening before the month of November is over. And the reason that's going to be very important, as we discussed, it's going to be necessary to when we're conducting commerce from our Bitcoin MYK hubs, as we wish to integrate into projects like Amazon. At least basically, we want to facilitate the movement of Bitcoin MYK over through our Amazon store. So you'll be able to purchase Amazon products with Bitcoin MYK. Of course, or to do that, you need a stable currency. And one way we're going to get closer to that achievement and goal is by having the Bitcoin MYK backed dollar, which is basically going to be issued at a rate. And I know I'm going to say this in a video, and some people are going to get this or not. And don't worry, we're going to do other videos on it. So just try to think of it this way. If you're already using Steam or Hive, you understand how the Hive back dollar works. You understand how the Steam back dollar works. Think of it in the same terms. You're always going to be able to redeem so many Bitcoin MYK back dollars for Bitcoin MYK, right? Which is for lack of a better word, that's kind of the store value coin, and the Bitcoin MYK backed dollar is going to be the currency, what you're going to spend, right? So you're always going to be able to redeem that for more Bitcoin MYK. That is the purpose. You can always turn in, even in a low liquid market. So for instance, if the market of Bitcoin MYK is, or Bitcoin MYK backed dollar, sorry, is very low liquidity, you're always able to go just redeem them for Bitcoin MYK in that sense. Now, the reason why you might want to carry Bitcoin MYK backed dollars for commerce reasons, for acceptance reasons, right? But also as we issue them, a lot of the proceeds on the open market for Bitcoin MYK backed dollars is going to circulate. Over 70% circulates right back into Bitcoin MYK, and about 30% stays liquid on the Bitcoin MYK backed dollar market, right? So similar to how Steam backed dollars have a market, Bitcoin MYK is going to have their market, and it's going for stability and remittance, global remittance, right? Also, what's also happening with Bitcoin MYK, what makes our project vastly different is the algorithm, right, or the equation, rather, we're using in order to determine what the value of one is, right? Where do we start at? So it starts pegged with a US dollar, that's true. But the peg does something that a lot of other ones don't do. It actually is more pegged to the Bitcoin MYK network itself. Basically, accounts, we find the account value, the value of the network to be more of a solid way to value the Bitcoin MYK backed dollar than using something else, right? Using another cryptocurrency, or using or even the U.S. dollar, right? Because we don't, even though it's pretty stable, we don't know really what goes into um, what politically drives the printing of more U.S. dollars, right? Whereas with Bitcoin MYK, you'll always know that it's based directly on the number of accounts we grow, right? So in the social network of Bitcoin MYK, let's just say, for instance, that the account values grow 10%. Well, the Bitcoin MYK peg is directly relational to the amount of accounts and value of the network, so it would increase by 10%. So in that model, to be something like $1.10 now. Now, if you're a person who's buying Bitcoin MYK backed dollars, probably going to be in good shape in some sense, because as the the peg value rises, you're going to be able to sell it, for higher on that market, or you're going to be able to redeem for more Bitcoin MYK, again being more of our commodity, more of our our store value coin, right? So very interesting, very excited to bring you guys that Bitcoin MYK backed dollars. If you have any questions about it, as I said, we're going to do more videos in the future, and you're going to really get the hang of it. You're going to understand, why you're incentivized to get into it, because A lot of people don't get into stable coins because the belief is, it just remains stable. And where that is true, Bitcoin MYK will remain stable around the accounts that it grows, and it will be this gradual climb in relation to the accounts. It does go up in value, and what could potentially be a safer way than cryptocurrencies is just that can drop 90%. So you can possibly have a situation where you can have massive upside potential and no downside potential really, because what would happen is you would be backed by the Bitcoin MYK, and so whatever dollar amount it requires to send that over, you'll be able to redeem them for that, right? So quite interesting, quite interesting. We'll bring you more information about that in the future, but as always, we hope you have a good day. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and until next time, take care.